when I was in college, I took a terrorism class. Every time the professor said Al Qaeda, he sort of like his shoulders went up, and
Yeah,
he was
he's
sort
in
of
command
like,
here.
Al Qaeda, Hasbullah. You don't say America with an intensity. You don't say England with an intensity. You don't say the army with an intensity.
In this episode of Just Informed Talk, we're going to take a look at the latest new Q posts, which tell us something Q's been hinting at and giving us for a long time, that there is an inversion of reality when it comes to looking at the extreme leftists who use projection by taking the ideals that we use to define them and projecting them back onto others. We're going to talk about that, plus a whole lot more, so I hope you guys stick around and enjoy. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Just Informed Talk. I'm your host, Craig, and I always like to begin by saying thank you to everybody who said that subscribe button. If you haven't, please come here, landing page, click the big red subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell for notifications, and don't forget to hit the like button if you guys like this content and want to see me make more. So, today, this is where we're picking up. We left off at Q post 435, and we're picking up at Q post 3436. And of course, there's only a couple here and they're pretty obvious. I just scrolled past them. So we're going to talk about those. Plus, there's a whole bunch of news stories coming out, including the fact that you have this supposed squad that doesn't do squat, as the White House likes to say, of women on the Democrat side of the party, or on the extreme side of the Democrat Party, who have been just relentlessly attacking both our country and the Constitution and the idea of being American as a good thing. And when President Trump calls them out, of course, they respond with their generic line that they use against pretty much anyone who disagrees with them at this point, that President Trump is a racist. And we're going to talk about that with relation to these latest posts and other stories. But before we do that, I always encourage everyone to come back here to the landing page if you haven't and get caught up, watch these last videos, and please share them all on your social media. There's a little share button at the bottom of this video. Go down, click it, and share it to whatever, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, wherever. Get the word out because we're on YouTube. And today we're going to look at the end of this episode, there's going to be a clip from today's hearing on Capitol Hill where Senator Ted Cruz and others basically were taking testimony from a Google representative with regard to the bias that is inherently obvious within their system, their algorithm, and their company itself, and how that bias has been presenting itself as an anti-conservative, anti-Christian bias where they've tilted the playing field in favor of anyone who is ideologically in favor of their agenda and against those who oppose it. So they have a super liberal, ultra extreme left agenda, and anyone who opposes that is basically targeted by their huge corporation on YouTube, Google, Twitter, everywhere. Well, YouTube and Google predominantly speaking with regard to what we're going to watch, and how it's being gamed against us, and how we're basically being discriminated against. And you guys are going to want to stick around to watch that. But that's why I ask you guys to share these every time. And if you're scratching your head going, what is QAnon? What's this guy mumbling about? Watch this video. What is QAnon, the Great Awakening? It'll help you out, and it'll give you a lot of information that you probably are going to want to know. So remember to stay tuned at the end of the segment here. You're going to see that clip from today in Congress on Capitol Hill. So this is the first post we have from Q. Pretty simple. It's a post that we got all the way back in September of 2018 as well. And we've had it many times in between, where Q is basically explaining to us what they're trying to do to us as a country, right? You got to understand there's a tactic. It's a divide and conquer tactic that's been is as old as the ages, I guess. It's been as old as war. This has been a common tactic, and it's being used on us today. But now what's fascinating is the way that in reality has been inverted, this inversion of reality where the people who are basically causing the racial division within our country, causing the religious division, and being the ones who are anti-American and standing in opposition to the ideal of America. One of the main great ideals that is America is the incredible idea that we can come together as different peoples from different backgrounds, ethnicities, cultures, but we share one cultural identity, and that is an American cultural identity, and that we are Americans, and that we are citizens of the greatest nation in the world. And that, when we pledge allegiance to the flag, that's a sign of respect to this nation that we love. And we love the Constitution and our freedoms, and the same freedoms that allow these people, as we're going to look at, Ilhan Omar being one of them, to go around and say these awful, hateful things. They're trying to destroy that institution. And what they don't understand, I think, or they do, and they're just willfully ignorant or willfully malicious, is that they don't understand that as soon as you take away our rights and you remove the freedom of speech, the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, our right to bear arms, who do you think they're going to be coming after next? We're the ones standing in a way, we're standing to safeguard those liberties that our forefathers fought for so many years ago. And these people want to tear them down without realizing, I think, or in some cases probably, realizing that they're going to be next to go. And it's just, I think a lot of it has to do with criminality, blackmail, corruption, and just naivety, ignorance, you name it. There's a lot of reasons for all of this. But as it says here, it says they want you divided by race, divided by religion, divided by culture, divided by class, divided by political affiliation, divided you are weak, together you are strong, we the people, where we go one, we go all. Q. So Q's been telling us from the beginning that it's about where we go one, we go all, not about what race you are or what religion you are or what culture you come from. We're Americans. We're standing together. And as you'll see with this post, so Q gives us this picture, then gives us this tweet from, of course, Representative Ilhan Omar. And in this, you hear her, just railing against the president, talking about white nationalism, and it's funny how they're the ones who always bring up race. They call us racist, yet they're the ones who talk about race incessantly. And they never stop, talking about how, white people this and white people that and white people this, white people that. And you're like, well, that's racist. You are acting in a racist way. It's not acceptable just because you've classified white people as an okay class to target. I mean, that it shouldn't be okay for a white person to say that about any other ethnicity as much as it should not be all right for somebody of another ethnicity to say that about white people, right? We're not criticizing you based on your race. We're criticizing you based on your hatred of this country. I mean, what's wrong with that? If you're somebody who talks proudly, as President Trump said, about Al Qaeda, and we've seen the interview, we've seen the tape, I've shown it. If you're somebody who has that kind of disdain for this nation, where you believe in the idea that we should just basically get rid of our sovereignty, get rid of our borders, and everything that helps keep this country a country, then there's no sympathy, right? And I guess that's the point here. But it's definitely becoming quite a divisive issue, and we'll watch this clip of Ilhan Omar talking about President Trump and white nationalism and saying that everything President Trump did was racist.
A president who has openly violated the very value our country aspires to uphold: equality under the law, religious liberty, equal protection, and protection from persecution. And to distract from that, he's launching a blatantly racist attack on 4 duly elected members of the United States House of Representatives, all of whom are women of color. This is the agenda of white nationalists. Whether it is happening in chat rooms or it's happening on national TV, and now it's reached the White House garden. He would love nothing more than to divide our country based on race, religion, gender, orientation, or immigration status, because this is the only way he knows he can prevent the solidarity of us working together across all of our differences. The only way to prevent us confronting the problems our country is facing,
whether it is healthcare, climate change, student debt, or our endless wars. This is his plan to pit us against one another.
All right, so there you have it. I mean, that's her official statement to the president, and you heard it there in its entirety. And you see the kind of just childish type of tactics that seem to work. You know, they act a lot like toddlers, these extreme leftists, in it's just everything is, well, I know you are, but what am I? And, well, no, I'm not racist, you're racist. And you're like, who am I dealing with here? But that's the infantile mindset of these individuals who have basically decided, for whatever reason, whether they're just living in a different world than the rest of us or they have some nefarious purpose behind it, they absolutely have a disdain for this nation. They want to see it not just changed, but destroyed. They want what is now to not be. So that is really the problem that we are coming up against with these individuals who are representatives of Congress, who stand in front of the American flag, who have to represent not just their constituency, but the American people, and moreoverly, the idea of American exceptionalism and the idea of the Constitution being an incredibly well thought out governing document, a document that gives us these freedoms and liberties that nowhere else in the world has. This is why a person like Omar leaves Somalia and comes to this country, is because of those tenets and principles. Yet when they get here, they want to destroy all of that which makes our country great, and tell us that we're racist if we stand up to them, if we tell them that we disagree. That makes us racist. And I don't think that's fair, and I don't think that's really any way to live in the world that we are today, or in this world that we have come to be in now. And look, you can hear her for herself talk about everything that Q has told us before, saying that President Trump's trying to divide people by race and religion and culture and class. And you're thinking to yourself, wow, that's fascinating, coming from the person who is the actual racist, right? And Q says define projection. Of course, we already know that. These people just, I really believe that they're either, willfully ignorant and possibly maliciously ignorant to these facts, and they just choose to see the world the way they want to. And that's really disturbing. Here's some pictures of President Trump with, people from the black community who are notable. I guess leaders, you would call them to a degree. They do have large followings. Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, Russell Simmons, and one of the people from a rap group, I believe, and now a pastor, seems like a nice enough guy. Snoop Dogg, who pretty much hates the president now, and another one down here. But think about it, right? The individuals that we're seeing being mentioned with President Trump, or individuals who are calling President Trump a racist, are ignoring the fact that he has a history of, standing with black leaders as they had endorsed him and he endorsed them. Yet now today the narrative is President Trump has somehow just become overnight a racist, and it's laughable. But it says, what happens when the controlled quote unquote are told to create a new false quote unquote racist narrative, disinformation campaign? Do the sheep follow? Think for yourself, see truth, Q. So here you go. I mean, it's as simple as this. You see it here for yourself. You be the judge. I don't think that anything President Trump said, the reason that we got here with this, if you guys haven't seen it yet, I've done a whole podcast on the new channel about it, the new podcast channel about this particular incident where President Trump basically just got on Twitter and gave a speech and said what was on his mind and pointed out the fact that these people are engaged in anti-American rhetoric, and they presumably seem to hate our country and seem to have favorable opinions toward organizations like Al-Qaeda. And it's, to me, I didn't find anything racist about that. I thought that's talking about people being anti-American. It has nothing to do with your race. The fact that they brought up race is really the problem. They are the racists. This is something I've been saying for so long, yet it doesn't seem to resonate with anybody in the mainstream media. They don't seem to understand that when they write all these hit pieces about President Trump and call him a racist and call people who support President Trump white nationalists, and they make it about race, they're the ones who are in fact racists. Like, I very rarely see on this side of the movement people who are using race as a way to attack people. I mean, I think that we all here are on this side of the issue, especially the people who are here on this channel, see past race and understand that it's about the content of your character, not your immutable characteristics. But, because I think there's a lower IQ quotient, the intelligence quotient on the left, I should say, and that they are involved in, different, in my opinion, anti-American practices for different reasons. Some may just be corrupt. Some may be, have some sort of dirt on them. Some may, just be ignorant. It is what it is. The point is that they engage in this on a regular basis, and then they project onto us their actions, their, racist tendencies, and it's pretty disturbing. So, yeah, that was the whole thing. Think for yourself. See the truth. Was this started as a new false racist narrative? Yeah, probably. I mean, they only have so many ways they can spin what President Trump does when he comes out and speaks like what most people are thinking, right? Most people are thinking, yes, it is really weird and sad where you have a member of Congress openly talking about how much they hate this country and have disdain for it, and how they love, and their chest perks up when they talk about Al-Qaeda, and how they think that's cool, and their shoulders slouch down when they talk about America. I mean, to me, it's like you're just pointing out this person obviously doesn't like our country, and they are serving in the Congress, and they absolutely hate it, and they want to see it, in my opinion, basically dismantled. And I just, there you go. So, yeah. Here it is. I mean, you have NBC News who comes out, and what they do is they forward this narrative, and they say the agenda of white nationalists, AOC, other congresswomen respond to Trump's attacks, and they portray these women as the victims of a racist attack by President Trump, when the reality is we're discussing these individuals and their policy views and their views about this country. It has nothing to do with the race, as I've said 10,000 times now, but the media will not let it go. And so that was interesting. Now, in other news, let's look at this. Do you guys remember Q told us that there was something coming with Planned Parenthood a few days ago, talking about how Planned Parenthood was next? And here we have this story that just broke today about the latest firing of a Planned Parenthood head. So I guess this person who's the president, Leana Wen, was ousted by the organization, or aborted, if you will. I know that's pretty dark humor, but it seems to apply to this, right? She was basically fired from her job as the president of Planned Parenthood, and Q told us that there was going to be big news about Planned Parenthood coming, and so a few days after Q says that, they announced that Leana Wen has been fired. Why do you think she has been fired? Well, if you read the story, it talks about how they were actually negotiating behind closed doors about her leaving the organization, but the company went behind her back and had a secret meeting and let go of her because of philosophical differences about how to fight back against abortion opponents. So I have a feeling that she's been let go because they've basically, President Trump's gone all in. He's just got a court ruling saying, I believe it was a court ruling that said that defunding Planned Parenthood is constitutional because of the president has that right to do that. So obviously the people running this organization are realizing that President Trump and the will of the American people are shutting down their little racket that they were running inside of our government, where you had politicians that would lobby for money to go to Planned Parenthood, and then Planned Parenthood takes a portion of that money, millions of dollars, and puts it back into Congress, and it just it creates this self-feeding cycle where it never ends, and Planned Parenthood just gets bigger, and the bureaucracy around it just gets more bloated. And yeah, that's what President Trump put a stop to. Obviously, we're seeing this happening, not to mention the fact that there's investigations that have been going on since 2017, I believe, into the way that Planned Parenthood was selling parts of fetuses, aborted fetuses. This is really a disturbing and sick topic, but it certainly warrants another look. Now, the next story here I want to talk about is back to Ilhan Omar, and this is coming out from the Gateway Pundit. You have Jim Hoft here confirming that the birth date of Ilhan Omar's brother / husband on wedding certificate matches his school records. So this is another thing that a lot of people have been pointing to, for the simple fact that she allegedly has committed tax fraud crimes and illegal use of campaign funds to cover travel costs. And she apparently, I mean, you can't make this up, tried to defraud the U.S. government by marrying her younger brother. This is not, like, you cannot make this stuff up. And as far as this investigation goes, I hope there's a federal investigation happening right now. I hope the FBI is actually looking into this, because this could call into question her ability to even serve in the United States House of Representatives, which to me is an important issue to kind of take on head first. And yeah, I just thought I'd bring that story to you guys, as interesting as that seems. Here is an interesting one that was given us. Now, this is a story out of MSM News, and it's talking about the Trump campaign launch effort to sway women voters. And what I thought was fascinating is they use a picture here of a woman who has a t-shirt that says "We Are Q," and it says "Women for Trump." She's holding a sign, and there's no mention of Q in this article anywhere. So it's obvious the mainstream media knows what Q is. They're 100% aware that we're doing this information. They're probably secretly watching these videos and gathering as much information as they can so they can figure out how they can cover it up and spin it to their favor. But that is where we are at. They're willing to publish pictures of people wearing Q shirts and not even acknowledge that it's a thing. And then here's another one that I thought was really telling. Adam Schiff just tweeting out today, this morning, 7 a.m., "I am gravely concerned about the threat of deep fakes," as well you should be, because you have deep reels, not fakes, deep reels. It says, "A well-timed, convincing fake video of a candidate could hijack the 2020 election and even change the course of history." And then it talks about how he sent letters to Facebook, Twitter, and Google urging them to plan ahead. So what's going to happen, in my opinion, is there's graphic, terrible videos that exist of all of these people that we've talked about, including Adam Schiff, possibly, who are involved in evil, satanic, demonic crimes that you literally cannot disprove if it's there on videotape, other than by calling it a deep fake, right? And I think that's what's going to end up happening. There's going to be, ahead of the 2020 election, there's going to be videos that end up getting leaked as these Democrats become more crazed and the public becomes more aware of their agenda to destroy our country through socialism, which is basically communism. And they're going to release some video, and it's going to be really damaging to maybe a bunch of people. And they're going to try to claim that it's all deep fakes and that Russia did it and that they're involved in this. And it's going to become a real nightmare. But, that's what I've said about these individuals. And you can take this to the bank about them. They have such a disdain for this country that they would rather destroy it. They would rather see this country destroyed than to face the consequences of their own actions. And they're willing to do anything and everything they can in order to basically try to keep themselves out of trouble. And that's where we're at. People who absolutely don't have one shred of patriotism or any sort of patriotic sense of duty. They only care about themselves. And it's really sick and sad that this is the state to which our government has come. But yeah, that seems to be where we are at. And of course, President Trump came out yesterday talking about how he's going to pledge to review allegations of treason over Google's alliance with China. This was a story that we talked about yesterday where billionaire investor Peter Thiel basically said that Google is involved in treasonous activities, and rightfully so, because they have decided to go and work with the Chinese Communist government and to deny access to the U.S. government as far as working in tandem with them on projects. So that to me is a company that has said they don't want to be patriotic. They don't want to help the country that helped create them, and they would rather help a communist regime who is involved in all types of human rights atrocities and abuses, and is one of our biggest, adversaries globally. They would rather side with them, and that needs to be investigated. And Google's going to face huge consequences for their treasonous behavior once we fully investigate this and find out the real truth. But now let's watch some clips from today's hearing with Senator Ted Cruz on Capitol Hill talking to Google about just this kind of practice and the censorship of conservatives.
People at YouTube determine whether you've engaged in so-called hate speech, an ever-changing and vague standard meant to give censorship an air of legitimacy. This is a staggering amount of power to ban speech, to manipulate search results, to destroy rivals, and to shape culture. More and more, Americans are demanding accountability from big tech for that massive power. One thing is certain: Congress never intended to empower large technology companies to control our speech when it passed Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act. That provision, Section 230, gave tech companies special privileges that nobody else gets. If the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal were to publish an op-ed that libeled a private citizen, they can be held responsible. This is the case even when those organizations don't write the content that breaks the law. They can be held responsible merely for publishing it. Not so for companies like Google and YouTube. If someone uses one of those services to commit slander, or to transmit classified material, or to traffic guns or drugs, far too often Google is off the hook. Section 230 makes it immune. Big tech gets a perk, a subsidy, that no one else does. Fox News, MSNBC, or anybody else. This immunity, however, was part of a deal. It was a trade. Section 230, the text of it, refers to the internet as, quote, a forum for a true diversity of political discourse. That was the trade at the heart of Section 230. This is because we expected tech companies in the business of carrying others' speech wouldn't favor any side when they did so. There wouldn't be a conservative internet and a liberal internet. There'd just be the internet. That bargain today is falling apart. Big tech continues to reap the benefits of a Section 230 subsidy, but the American people do not. The American people are instead subject to both overt censorship and covert manipulation. I believe it's time to rethink that deal. If big tech cannot provide us with evidence, clear, compelling data and evidence, that it's not playing Big Brother with its vast, immense powers, there's no reason on earth why Congress should give them a special subsidy for Section 230.
So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. A few more things before we go. Obviously, if you want to help support the channel, come here, click the big red subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell for notifications, and hit the like button if you guys like this content and want to see me make more. Watch these videos, share them on your social media, get the word out that way. And don't forget to leave your thoughts, theories, and insights below in the comments. I want to hear what you guys have to say about all of this. Also, links to everything we talked about here on the channel will be in the description, so go check that out. A few other ways you can help out the channel. Come over here and find me on the new channel, Just Informed Podcast. Just put up a new video over there talking about a lot of the stuff that we went over here. Plus, there's a whole bunch of more content if you want to go watch on that about what's going on with all these women and all that stuff. So go check it out. If you haven't, please come here, click the big red subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell for notifications on the new channel, Just Informed Podcast, and that way you get notified when the videos get posted over there. Also, I have a Twitter account Just Inform You, at Just Inform You, the official Twitter account for Just Inform Talk. You should come here, give me a follow. We can have a conversation. That's a cool way to follow and to stay in touch. Also, I have the justinformednews.com. That is the official website for Just Inform Talk, and you'll get links to the Q stuff, different news websites, breaking news articles, and the latest videos from the channel here. So that's a cool place to go, justinformednews.com. So you can go check that out as well. Also, if you're going to be in Miami, and this October 10th through 12th, 2019, you should come check out the American Priority Conference. We're going to have all types of interesting people. Sarah Sanders is on the schedule to talk, as well as Charlie Kirk and Dinesh D'Souza. So if you want to come down, it's at Trump National at Doral. Going to be an incredible time. If you're going to be in Florida, or you already live in South Florida, in October of 2019, October 10th through 12th, use the link in the description of this video to get tickets, and I'll see you there. So that's a cool way you can help out. Also, there's two other ways, and they're both financial. There's Patreon, patreon.com. The official Patreon page for Just Inform Talk is right here, patreon.com/justinformedtalk. It's a crowdfunding website, a monthly donation. You come here, click this button to become a patron. You set it and forget it, and know you're helping create content here on a regular basis. Your support is what has kept this channel going, and I can't tell you how much it means to me. Also, I have a GoFundMe set up if you want to make a one-time or anonymous donation. Helps out the channel a bunch, so you should go do that. But that's going to be it. One more thing before we go, we do a segment at the end of each one of these episodes called God's Grace is Greater, where we talk about God's grace now it is truly greater. And I just want to share a quick verse out of 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 14 through 16 or 17. And it says, he called you, and this is talking about standing firm in our faith. It says, he called you to this through our gospel, so that you might obtain the glory of our Lord Jesus Christ. Therefore, brothers, stand firm and hold to the traditions you were taught, either by our message or by our letter. May our Lord Jesus Christ himself and God our Father, who has loved us and given us eternal encouragement and good hope by grace, encourage your hearts and strengthen you in every good work and word. It's simple, but to me, when I read those words, that reminds us that the message is ageless. This is a letter that was written a very long time ago, but the message stands true today. And that's my message to you all out there, is to remember that we have to take this glorious message that we receive through the gospel of Jesus Christ and give that to others and stand firm in it and hold to what we are taught. So that's what we have to remind ourselves, and we have to ask ourselves every day that not only are we guided by our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and God our Father above and with the Holy Spirit in our hearts, but that we encourage others to remember that God loves us and has given us eternal and will give us eternal encouragement and good hope by his grace. So we need to encourage our hearts and strengthen our works, or strengthen our ability to remember the great glory of God in everything that we do, and honor God every way, every day, and pass that message on to others who we really care about. So that's where I'm going to basically leave it. I want to say thank you guys for watching again. Come here. If you haven't, click the big red subscribe button. Make sure you hit the bell for notifications. Also, don't forget to hit the like button. Hit it, punch it, kick it, smash it, dab it, whatever. Hit the like button if you guys like this content and want to see me make more. But that's going to be it for me. Thanks for watching this episode of Just Inform Talk. My name is Craig. Godspeed and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.